Malice Mizer.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good intro for this video. Today I am ranking Malice Mizer albums from my least favorite to, well, favorite of course. I also believe that there are no bad Malice Mizer albums, but also keep in mind, this is my personal opinion, so if you disagree or agree, debate in the comments. Well, I'm not going to debate, but like, you guys can debate. It's not my fault. Anyway, let's get this started. If you're watching this video, this band needs no introduction whatsoever, because I'm pretty sure you're most likely a fan of this band if you're already watching this video. But so I'm not going to go into a whole history lesson. There's tons of other videos out there that do it better than I ever could, and I am not a good history expert whatsoever, so sorry. Ooh, I'm not going to make any friends with this pick. Oh yeah! Because this is their most popular album and most people associate with this band. Last place is unfortunately Mervisalis. I don't know how to say it correctly though, in all honesty. Anyway, but this is their most popular album, and this is the one that everyone thinks of when they think of Malice Mizer, obviously. With Gacked on, this is obviously Gacked era Malice Mizer. By all means, it's not a bad album, but it's not my top favorite. And I like all the songs on the album in all honesty, but it's not my favorite album out of the four. But this has got some of their most, arguably the most famous songs on the album in their entire career in all honesty. Like you've got, of course, Au revoir, Gekko no Yakusoku, you know, Yakusoku? Yeah. Bel Air and Illuminati, and a bunch of other songs are really good. Pretty much all songs in this album are really, really good. But for me, it's just because of how, like, I'm going to sound like an absolute hipster here, but because of how popular it is, that it's just like, sure, it's a good album, but there's 3 other ones out there and whatever, you know? But anyway, I'd have to say my favorite song in the entire album is probably Au revoir, I guess? In all honesty, as basic of a pick as it is, like every single time I listen to that song in particular, it brings back memories of like this one friend I had, well, still have because she's still around, and obviously, but like it just brings back memories of her and whatever. So I don't really listen to it as much because like nostalgia is kind of dangerous, but I just really like the song. The lyrics really resonate. I like the sound of it, the twin guitar sound they've got going on. All of it's amazing. Of course, what's the other one? Lucille? Yeah, Lucille is the other album I like because it reminds me of The Cure's Disintegration. I am a big fan of The Cure, obviously. If you couldn't tell just by the way I look. Stereotypes. Anyway, but it just sounds like something from like The Cure's Disintegration is pointed out by another YouTuber. Put him right here. Sure. Anyway, 4th place, Mercifella. Meh. Word I can't pronounce. Oh, I'm gonna get crucified for this one. Probably like that. But anyway, the next album we have is Bare no Seido, the final studio album. And the first one with Clawha, my favorite Malice Mizer vocalist on vocals. So of course I really like this one. I'd have to say, the sound of this album is really divisive and kind of an acquired taste if you're used to like the last album we were talking about or the Gacked era stuff or anything like that. But the more you listen to it, the easier it is to listen to, in all honesty. Nanka, kikeba kiku hodo kikiyasuku naru deshou kana? Anyway, what was the song? Mayonaka no Kawashita Yakusoku. It's probably my favorite song on the album. Kind of basic though. And there's a song at the end, like the last song. Forget the name of it because of how long it is, and I'm still in the process of studying Japanese, so I can't really say it whatsoever. Shiroi hana nanchara wakannai. Something like that, but that's like the most reminiscent of the Gacked era song on that album whatsoever. But like this album has the best atmosphere out of the 4 albums they've ever released, in all honesty. Like, it's the organs and like the harpsichords and whatever that I really, really like, because this is the sound that I really, really like for like, it just goes with Claw's voice in all honesty. But yeah, if you have a hard time listening to this one, I don't blame you in all honesty. It's not for everyone. Like I said, it's an acquired taste. But like, if just give it a chance, it grows on you after a while. I'd also have to say the live performance of like Bare no Seido in its entirety they did, it's on YouTube, is probably one of the best Visual Kei live performances in my opinion, in all honesty. Like, it's less of a concert and more of like a theatrical experience, if you will, I guess, sort of. But like, there's also a new self-cover redo of Kyoku to Sora during that concert with Clawhan vocals, where they changed the lyrics and whatever, which is also really good. That's also my favorite. Not that not that version. Kyoku to Sora is my favorite Malice Mizer song, of course. Of course, that's new information though, but whatever. But that one's my favorite song. And then I think I had to say, of course, Mayonaka. That is all Clawha. Like, that's just entirely his song in all honesty. It's mostly just him on vocals and of course the harpsichord, the organs and whatever. But that's mostly his song because it's literally just him singing, more or less. Of course, they're probably in the background doing their stuff or whatever. But it's pretty funny during the concerts. Like, you have Clawha, Koji, and Mana. They're all on stage like dancing and like hitting a drum and whatever, and that's it really. And then like Yuki's just in the back, just actually playing his instrument and whatever. While those three are just like dancing and spinning and whatever. It's hysterical in all honesty sometimes. Of course, then there's like that other live, I don't quite know the context of the show, but it's like a fan show, I don't know for sure. Like, where they're all on stage doing machete, and it's pretty funny. Not funny. Not the performance of machete, but like the whole concert where it's like funny, where like they just where Mana starts beating up, I think it was Yuki or something, and then Koji just joins in his whatever. That sort of thing. That's pretty funny. And Claw just stands there just like, "Nani yatteru n da? Omaera," and whatever. So. Next up, we have the first album with Gact on vocals, Voyage, right there. This is my favorite of the two albums Gact was on, in all honesty. I don't know why. It's not as grand sounding as the other one Gact's on, and like it's a lot more raw and a lot more down to earth, if you will. I don't know. I just really like this one more than the other one, in all honesty. Like with Transylvania, Tsukino, I cannot say the whole thing. A fragmented of a broken piece or something like that. Premier Moir, what else? Madrigal, No Pains, No Gains. There was one other song, I can't remember. It was like, I'm not even gonna try. But like, this is like the one album that all the songs are actually, every song on this one's amazing. Like, how many times have I said that this video already? But like, this is an album, you don't just like experience like one song from one song, like just a random song, and whatever, but like just listen to the whole thing in order, and it's just like this whole like vampire fairy tale like atmosphere, I guess, sort of, like, if you will. If you just listen to it, you'll understand what I mean by that. But this is just really amazing this is also I can't put it in the words, in all honesty. Like, this is my favorite Gact. Why am I doing that? My favorite Gact album, in all honesty. This is also around the time when Machete was released, which that's the Malice Mizer song, I think. That's the Malice Mizer song that everyone knows. If you're into Visual Kei, you probably know that song. If you don't know any other Malice Mizer songs, that one, or yeah. But I have to say my favorite song on the album is probably Transylvania, in all honesty. As cliche as it sounds, and as cliche as I look, wearing my coat like a cape. That song is my favorite one. It's less of a song and more of a theatrical experience, if anything. Like, you could just hear this in a stage play. and it would work, in all honesty. Like, just the lyrics that reference Interview with a Vampire, the drink from me and live forever, those lyrics, yeah. I don't know what it is. Every time I show this to people, they're like, Jesus Christ. Whatever, that's every single time I show Malice Mizer to anyone anyway, but yeah.
4 da nya 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 nya.
And finally, we have reached my favorite album. And if you're familiar with this band and have listened to all their albums, you know which one it is. And more. The first Malice Mizer album, with the original vocalist Tetsu on vocals. Now you may be wondering, you said Claw is your favorite vocalist, but Bada no Seido is not your favorite album. I can't explain that. That's the one thing I can't explain. I can't explain it. And even I question myself why it's that way. But like this album, I don't know why. I think it's like more like because of the more goth influences. Because of course I'm more into goth music, like bands like London After Midnight, The Cure, and Rosetta Stone, and those whatever. I think it's because I can hear those influences on this album a bit more compared to the other albums. That's not to say that the gothic influences weren't there on the other ones, but like with the Tetsu stuff, you could really hear it, in all honesty. Like especially like this Kyokuto Sara and Barok. Well, Barok wasn't on the original album though, but whatever, the remaster. But like you can hear it on certain stuff. Like of course, I think my favorite song, of course, Kyokuto Sora is my favorite song, Malice Mizer song. But like on this album, I also like, of course, Kyokuto Sora, Gogo no Sasayaki, Serif, yeah, those 3 songs are my favorite songs on the album. I just recommend the whole album, in all honesty, because this is really early Malice Mizer and really, really raw early Malice Mizer, if anything. Which there's a lot, yeah. Like I said, the gothic influences are there. Everyone's performances are really good. I think they had the twin guitars at this point. I don't quite know for sure, in all honesty, but like Koji and Mana are really good on this album. Of course, Kami is really good on Kyokuto Sora. Like, geez, those drums are really good on that song. Probably my favorite drumming on this entire album, and I don't know shit about drumming, in all honesty. But like, I highly recommend this. If you hate Tetsu's voice, that's my fault. That's not my fault. If you hate Tetsu's voice, well, give him another chance, in all honesty. He always thinks like his life is dependent on it, but you grow to appreciate it. I also want to mention one of my other favorite Malice Mizer songs is like an early demo called Sadness. I know her reason for her sadness, or whatever the full tape was. I'll put it right here. But like on this one, I don't care what anyone says, this is a goth song. Like, compare this. To this. Don't tell me there was influences from goth on this song, because this is very, very goth for what it is, in all honesty. Like, just that middle instrumental part is one of my favorite Visual K song parts ever, in all honesty. I would honestly, if it was on streaming, I'd put this in a goth music playlist. I don't care what anyone says, in all honesty. Call me a poser if you want. I don't care. That's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. Hopefully didn't die from cringe from how I was explaining this and didn't really go into detail with the music and whatever, but that's my fault. I take full responsibility, so whatever. Thank you.